I arrived in Fukushima, Japan this afternoon. A beautiful country indeed. As I looked upon the small island, I was able to identify the large gated area glimmering with substances mixed in with the water left behind by the tsunami. "Quarantine!" says the guard, accompanying me on the plane, who points to it briefly, opens his mouth, and then is cut off by the sound of an explosion of sorts. "We must go now," he says, looking at me as though I was the one who caused the explosion. I nod and step into the jeep being used as my transportation. As I go, I can see thousands of flowers on the side of the road, with names carved, painted, or even branded on the side of trees. We seemed to be going on forever, although it was a mere 30 minutes. I asked the guard, "I presume there will be many deceased animals?" He answered, "You will decide that," and then returns to resting his head on his hand. I was wrong. They weren't dead. They were suffering. And one animal particularly got my attention. It was a small tiger cub. How odd, I mumbled to myself, and then stepped out of the jeep in my hazmat, of course. I went to the cub and picked him up. I examined him and found several older bald spots, and realizing that the cub had suffered radiation poisoning, my soul has never felt so grave. I watched as the cub began to tear out its fur and cut out its teeth and the skin where the fur was missing. In faulty English, the guard tenderly explained, "Mada escaped from captivity." "Let me help him," asked the guard at the gate. I handed the cub to him willingly, and at that point was unaware of the consequences of my actions. The guard, with tears in his eyes, placed the cub on the ground gently and cocked his rifle. I believe it was death that appeared and cradled the animal until it had stopped struggling. The guard told me that there were hundreds of animals just like this suffering cub. He explained that the area was assigned the duty to help the animals pass on. I was shaken and astonished as I went through the quarantine zone. I wasn't upset because of the killing of these animals. They were killed to end their suffering, but in the midst of all the terror and hell of the quarantine zone. I wasn't upset because of the killing of these animals. They were killed to end their suffering, because they needed to be killed, not because they wanted to be. And then I saw it, in the midst of all the terror and hell of the quarantine zone. There it stood. The mosaic or Japanese tree, the cherry blossom. In all this death and chaos, that tree stood peacefully as bees sucked at that sweet, succulent nectar, and sent a message. It stood up to those who had perished and had given up. It showed that life was possible even in this massacre of a once beautiful place. Where there was no hunter or hunted, there was only death. This has been a Buena Troubled Kid production. Executive producer, Anthony Wyatt. Written by Anthony Wyatt. Narrated by Anthony Wyatt. Edited by Addie Whiting. Motivated by Taylor Goodling. And pictures were drawn by William Merkins. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day, night, or apocalypse if that's the case you're in. And get to the chopper. Hello, and welcome to this wonderful event. I'm just seeing if this works, so.
Glimmering with substances mixed with water left behind by the tsunami. "Quarantine," says the guard.
He answered, "You will decide that," and then returns to resting his head on his hand. I arrived in Fukushima, Japan this afternoon. A beautiful country indeed. As I looked upon the small island, I was able to identify the large, gated area glimmering with son of a bitch. Addie.
That tree stood peacefully as bees sucked at that sweet, succulent nectar.
We must go now, he says, looking at me as though I was the one who caused the explosion. I nod and step into the jeep, being used as my transportation. As I go, I can see thousands of flowers on the side of the road. Names carved, painted, or even branded on the side of trees.
I believe it was death that appeared and cradled the animals until it had stopped struggling. Freckle frackle. Magic bananas. Rhinoceros poop. Edited by Addie Whitefield. Where there was no hunter or hunted, there was only death. But as I went through the quarantine zone, I wasn't expecting. Thank you for watching. Please give us a 5-star on SoundCloud.